I've been doing music now for about 20 years full time. We've toured 22 different countries. I've got about 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. We had a song in the Olympics last year and also in the Super Bowl. My name's Manafest, and in this video, I want to share with you how small artists can easily become the 1% of artists crushing it on Spotify without working harder. But before I jump into that, we need to address the elephant in the room, because the average person spends over 5 hours a day on their phone. That's over 75 full days a year you could be writing, recording, building an audience, and growing your fan base instead of scrolling. Netflix users stream an average of 3.5 hours a day. If you just traded half of that time for your music career, you'd gain over 600 hours a year to chase your dreams. So if our habits don't change, no matter what tactics I share with you aren't going to matter. It all starts with here, the drive, and putting in the work. There's no easy way. So I've been stuck at 10,000 streams a day when I release a new song. So when that new song comes out, the first day we normally hit around 10,000 streams, and you're like, oh, I wish I was you, right? Or maybe you're like, oh, that's it. I don't know where you are in your career, but that's where my ceiling has been. When Spotify Discovery Mode first came out, it was like 20 or 30, but for the last 6 months, it's been about 10,000 streams. And so I want to prove to you that we can move the needle, and I wanted to prove to myself that I could. So we just had a song drop yesterday, and we totally crushed that number. And I'm going to share with you in a little bit what we got, but I want to tell you what I did so that we could increase our streams and you can apply these to your music career. So the first thing, of course, I did to promote this song was we pitched it to the editorial playlist. Now, I'm not so concerned about getting an editorial playlist, and lo and behold, we haven't gotten one yet, but it hasn't even been a full 24, 48 hours yet, but we did trigger the release radar, which is the most important algorithmic playlist. It's even more important than an editorial playlist, okay? Because the algorithm is what triggers like Discover Weekly, radio, My DJ, and really notifies all your fans. And so we did that, and that's where the majority of our streams came from so far in this first 24 hours. But we also did something else. We did a Spotify marquee and showcase ads. Okay, I retargeted all my previous listeners. So we put some good budget between each ad. I think I spent about 600 in the US, 200 in Canada, 200 in Germany, and 250 in Brazil. I basically took my 5 top countries and we ran Spotify marquee ads to all those countries so that everybody would get notified, right? That hey, he's got a new release out. Because I shared in a previous video how I was frustrated that like a very, very small percentage of my 175,000 followers even get notified about my new song. So unfortunately, you have to pay to play. And I know some of you are going to be like, oh, I know you got to pay Spotify as well to reach your fans. But this is the thing, and I'm going to do a separate video about this, but the bigger the first day is, the longer the long tail of streams, like the longer the drop-off takes to finally go down and then sustain. And my goal is to have a really big day, and then so my sustaining number is like maybe at 1,000 streams a day or 2,000 streams a day, as opposed to only 500 streams a day. But if we don't give Spotify enough data and enough like streaming data to know who's saving, who's adding it to their playlist, like is this really a good song, to know who else to share it with. Like I can't just leave it up to the algorithm, and that's what I was doing partly. I was getting a little lazy and I was relying on just these other platforms, right, which are very important. But it's just like, I've got Spotify marquee, I've got all these followers, we've got all this data. Why not just spend the money there? Because the conversions are so much higher, okay? So that's something you really want to invest in once you've got enough followers and streams so that you can retarget with Spotify marquee and showcase ads, all right? Number 3 is I bombed my email list, okay? So I stayed up and I made sure that an email went out like just after midnight. So I think we scheduled the email for like 1 a.m. so that in the email was like, hey, are you guys still awake? Check out this new song that dropped. Because I always schedule my song releases to come out at midnight wherever that person is, okay? So whatever their time zone is, it comes out at midnight. And so I made sure an email went out right away. And I don't always do that. Okay, I don't always do that. I get lazy, right? I get distracted too. So I got to get my habits under control and do what moves the needle. So we made sure we did that. So we got a whole bunch of clicks to the song, right? And then I scheduled another email to go out at like, I think during the day that day. So we had one right at midnight or just after it, and then one again, all right? Because I got this list. Why not use it, right? And I'll send another one this day after to keep those streams out to remind people. Because just because I sent the email doesn't mean they opened it. And just because they opened it doesn't mean they clicked it, right? So we want clicks to our songs. And of course, I also waited till midnight as well. And this is number 4, is I posted a whole bunch of social media posts. I hit up Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, did a community post on YouTube, and I made sure I had something go right when the song went live. Because you got to understand, like, this is a global market. Just because you're sleeping at 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. or whenever you go to bed, there's people awake all through the night in other parts of the world. And this is a global audience. Like, I think about the UK, if I'm just waiting until midnight to post it, well, it's now 5 a.m. there. In Germany, I think it's 6 a.m. People are just waking up while you're sleeping, but I want that social media post to hit whoever is awake there, right? The next thing we did, this is number 5, is I sent out a SMS message to all my text listeners. Okay, so I sent a SMS message to all the people who I have their phone numbers for their mobile, and that gets insane click-through rate. And some of you be like, well, I don't have an SMS list. Well, guess what you need to do? You need to go build an SMS list, which I talk about in the song launch checklist. Okay, you need to build it. How do you do that? You give away free music. You give away albums, you give away coupon codes, you do giveaways, like it could be a merch giveaway or anything. Hey, do a contest, enter your SMS number, your mobile number in exchange to win this prize or to win this music or get this album, and you build that text list up, okay? So powerful. Number 6 is we dropped a lyric video. Okay, I took a whole bunch of old music video footage, right? All these dope little clips, cut them all up, took me like maybe 30 minutes, threw it into CapCut. It did the auto lyrics and the auto captions, added some captions, and now we had an official lyric video. Okay, and you got to understand, like, certain people watch a music video, they didn't see all those different pieces, they didn't see all those different parts, and I actually had fans say, oh, I loved how you used other pieces of the music video for this song, it's so dope, because I tried to sync it up, and like, I'm not like a video editor or whatnot, and I could have sent it away, and I probably should have just delegated it, but I had some fun just cutting it up, putting it together, had something that I could release, and then of course, what do you think I used for my social media posts? I used all those snippets of that lyric video. Okay, and then I put that on social media. Number 7 and again, I had to wait up or stay awake until midnight to do this, but I stayed up until midnight so that when my song went live, I could add it to my stories from Spotify. I added it to all my playlists that I control, all right? I also made it my artist pick, which is number 8, okay? And so I'm doing all these things and I'm just stacking the successes, right? And number 9, which is really powerful, and this is what we teach in my coaching program and the Playlist Profits training, is that like I'm running Facebook ads 24/7. But what's so powerful about this is that when I added that song to the playlist, I put it to near the top of it. I control 2 playlists that I really promote. I have a hip hop one and a rock one, right? So I put it in the top 5, and I've already been running ads for this for months. But for yesterday and today, and probably the next 3 days, for 72 hours, I have cranked the budget up. Okay, I've increased the budget up because I want even more streams going to this playlist that have other songs of mine in it, right? But most importantly, I want more streams to this song that just came out. So I'm really fueling all this, these streams, right? And so like it just has this massive impact. I'm also running YouTube ads to the new lyric video. Right? I'm not leaving any stone unturned here, okay? And then I also, pitched it to a bunch of curators using like Submit Hub or Playlist Push, something like that, right? So that we could get added to even more playlists. So the number that we got, if we normally get 10,000 streams the first day, this extra effort, we ended up getting over 13,000 streams. So that's a 30% lift by doing all these extra things, okay? And I really believe that when you stack all these different things and you really go hard on a song, but do the things that actually move the needle, you're going to get way better results. Because The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. And I can tell you exactly what I think moved the needle the most. I don't think it was the email list, even though that is important. I don't think it was the SMS list. I think the biggest two needle movers out of all these things, and I'm not saying I won't do these other things, I still will, but I think the biggest needle movers were the Spotify marquee ads. We're pitching it to the editorial playlist to trigger the release radar. And I also think running ads and controlling those playlists. I think those were the biggest needle movers. And if I want to see an even bigger first day streams, like if I want to get to like 20,000 streams or more a day, I know I need to invest more into Spotify marquee because it's the highest conversion. It's the warmest audience, right? It does cost the most, but it gives me the best result. Okay, and so sometimes you need to ask yourself, okay, if I'm spending all this time doing these other things, could I spend more of my time at my job or wherever, making more money so I can put more money into the things that actually move and not waste my time on things that, it feels like I'm really doing something, but is it actually having an effect? Right? Like, is it really having an effect? But really, sometimes, guys, you got to put in the extra work. You got to turn off the phone and you got to focus and do some deep work. I hope to see you at our next Spotify 5-day challenge. If you got questions, go to 10xyourfanbase.com/let's go. I'll put the link below here, but our next challenge starts really soon and I'll be doing Q&A every single day, and it's the most amazing challenge. Get to hang out with you every day, get to know your career, your music, and help you move forward.